Hi, I have a new story for you today. It's called The Seven Chinese Brothers by Margaret Mahy. It's illustrated by Jean and Mom-sien Tseng. Here's the cover. Once upon a time, when Sheng Wang was emperor of all China, 7 remarkable brothers lived together on a beautiful hillside. They walked alike, they talked alike, they even looked so much alike that it was hard to tell one brother from the one next to him. All the same, each brother had something special about them. Each brother had one amazing power that was all his own. First brother's amazing ears could hear a fly sneeze from 100 miles away, while second brother's amazing eyes could look right across 100 miles and see a fly sitting on the Great Wall of China, sneezing and feeling very sorry for itself. The third brother was a man of unusual strength. He could walk across China in a straight line, lifting up any mountains that got in his way, putting them carefully back behind him. The fourth brother was strong too, for he had bones of iron that wouldn't break, buckle, or bend. The fifth brother had legs that could grow as tall and thick as tree trunks. The sixth brother never, ever became too hot, no matter how hard he worked in the summer sun. As for the seventh brother, he was the baby of the family, and all of his 6 older brothers tried to keep him smiling and happy, for he was their youngest brother, and when he was unhappy, he wept with big, warm, salty tears, and each tear was large enough to drown an entire village. The 7 brothers lived very happily together, and the 7th brother never once had anything to cry about. But one day, when they worked on their hillside, first brother lifted his head, with his amazing ears on either side of it, and said, "I can hear a moaning and groaning 100 miles away by the Great Wall of China. Second brother, take a look and tell me what that trouble is all about." Second brother turned his far-sighting eyes towards the Great Wall. "Ayah!" he cried. "There is an enormous hole in the Great Wall of China. I see 100 poor men working day and night and day. They look so tired and weak. Perhaps they're not allowed to sleep or eat until the hole in the Great Wall of China is repaired." "Ayah, I can't bear it," said the 7th brother, who was always hungry himself. He looked as if he might begin to cry in sympathy with the poor, hard-working men. "Don't cry," said the 3rd brother quickly. "I'll go help them." Off he went quickly as he could, and he got there in half a minute, no time. He set off to work at once, tossing great stones from one hand to another as if they were feathers. By the time darkness came, the hole was completely filled. Then the 3rd brother lay down to take a nap. But when the emperor heard that a single man had repaired the hole in one afternoon, he was not at all grateful. Indeed, he looked very worried. "A man as powerful as that is more trouble than he's worth," thought the emperor to himself. "Strong men can be very useful to an emperor, but this one is too strong. One army may not be enough to catch him. I had better send 2. When third brother woke up from his nap, he found himself surrounded by 2 armies. "By the command of the celestial emperor, whose face is more dazzling than the rising sun, you are to be executed in the morning," proclaimed the generals of the 2 armies. "Take the prisoner to the palace of the emperor," they ordered. When he heard this, the 3rd brother burst into tears. A 100 miles away on a beautiful hillside, first brother heard the 3rd brother crying. "Third brother must be in trouble," he exclaimed. Second brother looked far into the distance. "Ayah!" Third brother has been taken to the palace. He's surrounded by 2 armies. They're going to try to execute him in the morning. No wonder he's crying. Don't worry, cried the 4th brother, who saw that 7th brother was about to cry too. I'll change places with him. The celestial emperor, whose face is more dazzling than the rising sun, can try cutting my head off as many times as he likes. Perhaps that will make him feel better. Off he went as quickly as he could and got there in half a minute, less no time. He sneaked in between the 2 armies to 3rd brother, who was wide awake and waiting for him. So 3rd brother went home and 4th brother took his place. All the next day, the officers of the 2 armies tried over and over again to behead 4th brother, but sword after sword bent and broke on his bones of iron. In the end, they were forced to confess to the mighty emperor, whose whisper was like the rumble of thunder, that they simply could not behead the prisoner. A man with bones of iron, roared the emperor. Drown him in the deep sea tomorrow. When 4th brother heard that he was being drowned, he became very upset. Bones of iron won't bend or buckle or break, but they will sink, he thought to himself, and he burst into tears. A 100 miles away on a beautiful hillside, 1st brother heard 4th brother begin to cry. 4th brother is crying, he said. 2nd brother looked into the distance far beyond the hills and said, Aya, tomorrow morning they're going to try to drown 4th brother. No wonder he's crying. Don't worry, 5th brother interrupted. I will change places with him. The mighty emperor, whose whisper is like a rumble of thunder, can try to drown me as many times as he likes. Perhaps that might make him feel better. Off he went as quickly as he could and got in there in half a minute, less than no time. He tiptoed past the guards to 4th brother, who was awake and waiting for him. Swiftly, they switched places, and 4th brother went home. All the next day, the soldiers of the 2 armies tried to drown 5th brother. They threw him into the deep sea, but his legs grew so quickly that the water only came up to his knees. They tried throwing him into deeper water, but the deep, deep water only just reached as far as his waist. Finally, they threw him into the deepest part of the sea, but even the deepest part of the sea only came up to his neck. Waves broke under his chin. Ah, said the 5th brother, smiling happily, how lovely and cool is the deepest sea water of all. He is more dangerous than I imagined, muttered the splendid emperor, whose merest glance was like a flash of lightning. He won't drown, but he might burn. Into the fire with him tomorrow morning, he commanded. When he was told his fate, 5th brother burst into tears. Far away on a beautiful hillside, 1st brother heard his 5th brother's cries. 2nd brother looked right across the 100 miles to the Great Wall of China. Aya, he cried. Tomorrow morning they're going to burn 5th brother alive. No wonder he's crying. Don't worry, said 6th brother, afraid that 7th brother might cry too. I will take his place. The splendid emperor, whose merest glance is like a flash of lightning, can bake me all day long if he likes, he said with a shiver. Perhaps that will make him feel better. Off he went as quickly as he could and got there in half a minute, in less than no time. He tiptoed in between the 2 armies and found 5th brother, who was awake and waiting for him. So 5th brother went home and 6th brother took his place. The next day, the 2 armies ran backward and forward, bringing kindling wood and brushwood and driftwood and bundles of dried grass. They built such a big fire that the smoke from it drifted from one end of China to the other. But 6th brother never, ever felt too hot. Basking in the heat of the blaze, he sighed with happiness. How kind of the noble emperor to let me warm myself by his own fire, he cried. The noble emperor, whose slightest frown made the land shake like an earthquake, was furious. Send for the royal archers, he ordered. In the morning we will shoot this man full of arrows. sixth brother burst into tears. Over the beautiful hillside, first brother heard sixth brother crying. Second brother, he asked, what do you see? Cried the second brother. Tomorrow morning they're going to shoot sixth brother full of arrows. The brothers looked at each other. There's nothing we can do for it, said the first brother. We cannot leave sixth brother to die alone. We will all go to the noble emperor, whose slightest frown makes the land shake like an earthquake. He can shoot arrows through all of us. At least we will be together. The brothers started their journey to the palace, but poor seventh brother was so upset that he couldn't help crying just a little. His first tear was as big as the longest river in China, rolled into a single drop. His second tear was as big as the second longest river. Both tears were as salty as the sea. A great ocean of warm salt water swept down the road ahead of the brothers. It swept on for 100 miles. Seventh brother's first tear swept one army north. His second tear swept the other army south. As for the emperor, he was tossed so high and so far that he is still trying to return to his palace. Seventh brother's flood of tears swept over the Great Wall of China, flowed all the way into the Yellow Sea, and all the way back in half a minute, less than no time. Sixth brother was free. He hurried back up the road while his six wonderful brothers hurried down the road. They were all reunited at the Great Wall. Fish, cried fifth brother. The wave had washed hundreds of glistening fishes ashore. There they were, flipping and flapping, piled all the way up to his knees. Wood, cried the third brother, gathering a forest to start a fire. Fourth brother snapped his iron finger and his iron thumb. A spark leaped out to set the fire blazing and crackling. Fire, he cried, laughing. Oh, I'm so hungry, said seventh brother. Now that we're all together again, we can have dinner and forget all of our troubles. I promise never to cry again, unless I absolutely must. So the seven Chinese brothers sat themselves down around a warm fire and feasted on delicious fried fish. For after such a worrying week, they were all very, very hungry. The end. I hope you liked it.